Okay, what if I told you that a staggering 93% of empaths are living with a secret? Yeah, a secret that modern science can't fully explain. But, the brilliant psychoanalyst Carl Jung, he got closer than anyone else. Recent research reveals a profound truth. People who identify as empaths don't just feel deeply. No, they literally experience a phenomenon called emotional flooding at rates 5 times higher than the general population. We're talking about a state where your nervous system becomes completely overwhelmed, right? A state where your rational mind just shuts down and you feel possessed by powerful emotions that aren't even your own. Wow. Now, here is what mainstream psychology won't tell you. This is not a disorder. It is powerful evidence of something Jung called the collective unconscious, a shared psychic field that empaths are naturally and beautifully tuned into. You might be experiencing what he termed possession by a complex without even knowing it. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly why this happens to you, how Jung's revolutionary insights explain what you are going through, and most importantly, the precise, actionable strategies that can help you transform this overwhelming sensitivity into your greatest, most profound strength. Let's begin with what is physically happening inside your body and brain when you experience emotional flooding, okay? According to groundbreaking research published in top psychological journals, emotional flooding occurs when your sympathetic nervous system detects what it perceives as a threat. Your amygdala, that ancient primal alarm system in your brain, it just goes into overdrive, triggering your fight or flight response. But here is where it gets absolutely fascinating for empaths. Seriously. Dr. Judith Orloff's pioneering research shows that empaths have hyper-responsive mirror neurons. These are specialized brain cells that don't just observe other people's emotions, they literally mirror and reproduce those feelings inside your own nervous system. Imagine having emotional Wi-Fi that is constantly and silently downloading other people's pain, anxiety, and trauma, all without your permission. An empath I spoke with described it with stunning clarity. She said, it's like being a human sponge in an ocean of other people's feelings. Reflective. She said, sometimes I can't tell where I end and other people begin. But here is the part that might surprise you. This is not a modern phenomenon, not at all. Archaeological evidence suggests that every human tribe throughout history had individuals with this heightened sensitivity. They were the early warning systems, the healers, the ones who could sense danger before it ever became visible. Your sensitivity is not a bug in your system. No, it's a feature that kept our ancestors alive. And this is where Jung's insights become absolutely revolutionary. Jung proposed something that sounds almost mystical, but it's increasingly being supported by fields like, quantum physics and consciousness research. He theorized that beneath our personal unconscious, our own hidden memories and desires, lies something far deeper, a collective unconscious, shared by all of humanity. Think of it like this. You know how a flock of birds can fly in perfect synchronized formation without a leader? Right? Or how a school of fish can move as a single unified organism. Well, Jung suggested that humans have a similar invisible connection, a psychic field containing what he called archetypes and the echoes of ancestral memories. For empaths, Jung's theory explains everything. I mean it. You're not just picking up on someone's surface-level mood, you are tapping into deeper currents, collective patterns, even generational trauma that has not yet been processed. It's like being a highly sensitive radio receiver that is picking up multiple stations all at once. Jung wrote, "The collective unconscious contains the whole spiritual heritage of mankind's evolution, born anew in the brain structure of every individual." Wow. For empaths, this heritage isn't just stored, it's actively and sometimes painfully experienced. This brings us to a critical concept. When you're possessed by a complex, Jung identified what he called complexes, autonomous clusters of thoughts, feelings, and memories that can literally take over your consciousness. When an empath experiences emotional flooding, Jung would say you are being possessed by a complex, and it might not even be your own. Okay? quickening pace. Research in neurology shows that during emotional flooding, the prefrontal cortex, your rational mind, goes offline. The emotional brain takes complete and total control. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever suddenly felt a surge of rage that seemed completely disproportionate to the situation, or a wave of sadness so profound it felt ancient, almost historical? Jung would say you are channeling a complex, possibly from the collective unconscious, possibly absorbed from someone else's unresolved trauma. Before we dive deeper into the powerful solutions Jung discovered, I want to ask you something. If this is resonating with your experience, if you feel a sense of recognition in these words, let me know by taking a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Hitting that notification bell is important because understanding these patterns might literally change your relationship with your sensitivity forever. Jung also identified specific archetypal patterns that empaths embody, and the most significant is what modern Jungian analysts call the wounded mirror. This archetype describes empaths who unconsciously absorb and reflect the suffering of others. You become a repository of shadows, not your own, but collective shadows that are crying out for healing. Jung believed this was no accident, that certain souls incarnate with the capacity to hold this space for collective healing. But here lies the danger, right? Without proper boundaries, you start mistaking other people's shadows for your own. You begin carrying guilt, shame, and trauma that was never yours to begin with. Jung called this psychological contamination. I'll give you a concrete example. Recent case studies detail empaths in toxic work environments who develop severe anxiety symptoms, symptoms that completely disappear the moment they change jobs, even though they believed the anxiety was their personal issue. The truth? They were mirroring their workplace's collective stress. This brings us to a point that will completely reframe how you see your gift. I'm talking about pattern recognition as ancient survival technology. Evolutionary psychologists have discovered that empaths are not overly sensitive. No, you are carrying ancient survival technology. Your nervous system has been fine-tuned across countless generations to detect micro-patterns in social behavior that others completely miss. In prehistoric tribes, individuals with this heightened sensitivity could sense when a leader was becoming unstable, when group dynamics were shifting dangerously, or when someone was concealing harmful intentions. This ability meant survival for the entire community. Really, modern neuroscience confirms it. Empaths show heightened activity in brain regions associated with threat detection and social cognition. You are literally wired to be a pattern recognition specialist. The tragedy is that our modern society has often labeled this profound gift as dysfunction. We have medicalized what Jung recognized as sacred work. So the ultimate question is, how do you transform this overwhelming sensitivity into unwavering strength? Jung's answer was a process he called individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming your authentic self while maintaining a conscious connection to the collective. For empaths, this means developing what I call psychic integrity, the ability to sense others deeply while staying firmly rooted in your center. This process has clear stages. First, recognition, understanding that you are carrying energies that are not yours. Second, separation, learning to distinguish between your authentic emotion and absorbed emotion. And third, integration, learning to use your sensitivity consciously rather than being a victim to it. Jung's own technique, active imagination, where you consciously dialogue with the energies and emotions you're carrying, has shown remarkable success. You can literally ask, whose emotion is this? What does it need for me to be healed? And often you will discover you are holding space for a much larger healing work. And here is the final revolutionary piece. Ready? The empath's sacred function. Jung's own technique, active imagination, where you consciously dialogue with the energies and emotions you're carrying, has shown remarkable success. You can literally ask, whose emotion is this? What does it need for me to be healed? And often, you will discover you are holding space for a much larger healing work. And here is the final revolutionary piece. Ready? The empath's sacred function. Jung believed empaths serve a sacred function in society. Yeah, you are not broken individuals who need fixing. You are psychic sensors who help communities process and heal collective trauma. Every culture throughout history has recognized this role: the shamans, the healers, the wise women, the medicine men. But here is what's absolutely crucial. Listen to this. This function only works when you have become a conscious empath. An unconscious empath becomes a victim of collective pain, but a conscious empath becomes a transformer of it. So let me tie all of this together for you. Emotional flooding isn't your weakness. It is evidence of your profound connection to the collective unconscious that Jung so brilliantly discovered. Your sensitivity isn't a disorder. It is ancient survival technology that our modern world desperately needs. And the overwhelm you experience isn't permanent. It is a sacred call to begin the journey of individuation, the path that transforms victims into healers. The question isn't whether you're too sensitive. No. The question is, will you answer the call to become consciously sensitive? I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me, have you ever felt like you were carrying emotions that simply were not your own? What patterns have you noticed in your sensitivity? Your experiences are valid, and sharing them might help another empath realize they are not alone on this journey. Thank you for staying with me through this deep exploration. Remember, as Jung showed us, the wounded are very often the chosen healers. Your sensitivity isn't happening to you. It is happening through you for a reason that is bigger than you might yet imagine. Now, here's a question we'd like you to think about. If your sensitivity isn't a personal flaw, but a collective tool, what is the one shadow in your community or family that you feel most called to shine a light on?